we're discussing the karmic debt number 19/1. So basically, the karmic debt number indicates that you have a debt to pay in this lifetime for the actions performed in a former lifetime. So when a karmic number shows up, it's telling you that you'll experience significant challenges with a particular topic in your life. It'll depend on where it lands in your chart as to what the overall effect might be. So while this can be seen as it's actually really good to know that the struggles that you're most likely experiencing over and over again can be given a name and a reason for being. It's rather like having credit card debt. Okay, so you have to decide to forego that vacation, eating out, or buying that expensive car, because instead you have to use that money to incrementally pay off your credit card. And if you don't pay it off, the debt keeps accumulating, the interest rate goes up, the debt consumes your life, the collection service starts calling, the repo man shows up, you get the picture. So, when you see a karmic number, it simply indicates that you have a debt to pay, which of course translates into a particular lesson to learn. Luckily, knowing the nature of this debt you're paying is a bonus, and it's a positive thing. When you can identify and name it, you can in some ways embrace it, take it seriously, and do something about it. The karmic debt number 19/1 indicates that wisdom, power, and spiritual knowledge has been used and abused for selfish personal gain in a past life or previous manifestation. Remember that the number 1 in 19 always indicates selfishness. This is the common denominator for all the karmic numbers. So if you have a 19/1 as one of your core numbers, understand that you abused power, and you abused it willfully and knowingly. The abuses you acted upon were infractions based in the number 9, meaning that compassion, integrity, and humanitarian concerns were ignored, abused, or distorted. And so now that you know this, and if it resonates with you, then now what? So how do you deal with it, or how do you understand what this might bring to the table in your life? So I like to describe it this way. So you're now being asked to be the highest and best version of the positive characteristics of the number 1, including empowered leadership, healthy independence, creative innovation, and resilient self-confidence. If you have the 19/1 as one of your core numbers, you'll most likely act upon the more destructive tendencies of the number 1 until the lessons have been understood, acknowledged, acted upon, and then mastered. The trick is, it is not going to be easy. You will get a throwdown in the realm of the lessons of the number 1, and you'll be called upon to really work it in a conscious and consistent manner. The path of the number 1 is the school of hard knocks anyway. Add the 19 on top of it, and it might then become apparent why you feel as though you don't get much of a break, or that you get the short end of the stick in your life, no matter how much effort you exert. Self-confidence and self-esteem are also star players here as well. You'll be handed many experiences that challenge your sense of yourself and your independence. You'll feel the internal drive to march to the beat of your own drum, and yet will encounter many detractors along the way. I've also found that often when you're actually pursuing this information through numerology or other metaphysical tools, you've come to a point in your personal growth where you've possibly been able to work through a lot of turbulence related to the karmic number. I find people with the karmic numbers often express that they have always felt this strange internal compass or mechanism that heightens their sensitivity to traveling the straight and narrow. For instance, many who have the karmic 19/1 they've told me that they've always felt this intense sense that they must use their power wisely, and that this is a driving force in their life. They feel added responsibility around their ability to be understanding of other people, to lead others with heart and with integrity. And they're very aware of their adverse reaction to acting in a selfish way. Yet also, in order to pay back the karmic debt, they need to step into the most powerful and positive qualities of the number 1. And this does not happen overnight. This is a lifelong endeavor. Some of the traits that must be grappled with might include the following. Narcissism. The number 1 is all about, you guessed it, all about number 1. So this is a lifetime where you're being called upon to step into the self in a very real way. It's a lifetime of individuation, individuality, independence, initiation, leadership, and innovation. There's a lot of I words there, right? And so when you have the added energy of the karmic 19, you'll find more distinct challenges in controlling and modulating the ego, and can operate in the world with a very self-interested focus without even really realizing it. You might assert yourself to the point of intimidation, again, without realizing the extent to which you present this energy to others. The 1 can be known for being somewhat inconsiderate to others. Self-confidence. Part of the overall challenge with the 1 is in a healthy balance of self-confidence that allows you to be the pioneer you're meant to be, while also not being a bully or a dictator in the process. Often the 1 struggles with that devil on the shoulder, that negative tape that plays in your head over and over again. So this can be a deafening roar when you add that 19 to the mix, causing behaviors based in a lack of self-esteem to take precedence. This can kind of include aggressive behaviors, stubbornness to the point of not accepting help or support. In relationship, this can manifest as an inability to choose equal or healthy relationships. Often the 19 struggles with codependent relationships, or the need to be the boss in a relationship. Or on the other end of the spectrum, you can be the one who is dominated by your partner. So the ultimate expression of the challenged elements of the number 1 is to be alone, to be unavailable to others, to be in a relationship with you because of the intensity of your own sense of self-importance and lack of empathy. The anti-1. The oppositional pole presents itself with great strength when you're working with the karmic 19. Therefore, you can be met with issues related to the opposite of your purpose. So rather than forging ahead with healthy independence, you can succumb to heightened levels of dependence in your life. Rather than being the leader and the initiator, you lack the confidence to step into yourself and opt instead for stepping back, for cynicism, for judgment, for victimization or defeat. Instead of taking the path of the leader, you might default into inaction and in many ways just can't stand on your own 2 feet. Just know at the get-go that you'll have to work harder to get there. You won't think it's fair, and yet if this karmic 19 is present, remember that you have the debt to pay, and part of the payment resides in a bit more of a challenging path. So one of the intriguing things I have found when working with karmic debt is this. Always remember that you are being called upon to pay special attention to the elements of the number where your infraction is located. So for you, that is in the number 9 and 19. So what does this mean? It means that you'll also, on top of everything else, be asked to infuse some positive elements of the energy of the 9 into your one life path purpose. And this brings some interesting dynamics because the 9 is all about unconditional love, altruism, and surrender. These elements aren't always congruent with the purpose of the 1, which is the bookend to the number 9. It's this demanding that you lead, innovate, and find strength in your independence. Yet the karmic 19-1 blossoms, and it's at its highest and best when you're also mindful about bringing the humanitarian and charismatic energy of the 9 into your courageous and pioneering number 1. So no one said it was going to be easy, right? And yet this dynamic holds amazing power when you understand what you're being called upon to do. Also understand that if this description just doesn't sound anything like you or who you think you are, then potentially you're at a stage of development and maturity in your life and have been working diligently on your own personal growth and evolution, where you're more in alignment with the constructive elements of the number 1. If that describes you, oh, hats off, you've been doing your work, and it never hurts to give yourself a pat on the back for a job well done. The gift you're given by knowing that you have a karmic debt to pay is this. Rather than feeling victimized, you can see that this is something that you brought on yourself, despite the fact that you can't consciously remember it. Not in a shameful way, rather in a mindful way, where you simply take responsibility for yourself. If you exert the energy and commitment to working in the positive realm of the number 1, then you will reap the benefits. Working with the karmic debt number 19 intensifies the issues that relate to the number 1. It requires concerted effort and focused commitment. It's testing you and requiring you to rewire the way you work with leadership, the self, ego, achievement, and independence. The destructive path might feel a little more comfy since you've been there, done that, and yet this time around you're being asked to extract yourself from riding in that same rut in the road. You're required to create a new way of working with these themes that have positive results for you and for everyone around you.